Good morning and welcome to another episode of Fruitful Fridays. My name is Cindy and today we are recording once again in the beautiful Namaskar Wellness Hub here in Lone Hill. And my special guest today is a woman who is a very passionate entrepreneur with various talents, and I'm very excited to introduce her today. Good morning, Candice, and welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Won't you please tell our audience a little bit about your story?
Yes, so my story started quite a long time ago. I started my journey into yoga and wellness in my early 20s. I studied psychology and I started doing yoga. And I think that's when I first became aware of the mind-body connection.
Yes.
That you need to feed both of those aspects
Yes.
of your life.
Yes.
So I did a little bit of work in rehab, with alcohol and drug rehab. And then I found myself called to do a little bit of exploring. So I decided to become an air hostess.
Okay.
Travel the world a little bit because I'm sure you can imagine like psychology is quite a heavy profession to take on. So I spent a few years traveling, and then when I came back and I was ready to start up again, I started discovering different ways to connect the mind and the body experience. So I took my yoga practice and then I added a little bit of belly dancing.
Oh, wonderful.
Which was such a nice way to connect to that female energy, that goddess energy. And I feel like as women, we are often taught to suppress that feminine aspect of ourselves. We're encouraged to be more like men.
Yes.
We're encouraged to dress a certain way. We're told not to wear a mini skirt or not to show our bellies or to hide whatever aspects of our body so that we're not harmed or attacked. So I feel like a lot of our female energy is suppressed from a very young age.
Yes.
And I became more and more interested in like evolving who we are as women and to become more balanced again and to become more female again, because at the end of the day we're not men.
Yes.
And we shouldn't be operating as men because we have our own strengths, which are very different to the strengths of men, and we should be complementing each other, not trying to clone one another.
Yes.
So then I started a long, passionate journey. After my belly dancing, I performed for a few years. I learned how to fire dance, which is also
Beautiful.
great. Tap
Wow.
into that that fire energy, which is
Mm.
also very much a goddess energy, I think.
Definitely, yes.
And then my journey led me to a pole dancing class
Okay.
about 15 years ago, which I absolutely loved because, again, it was just that freedom to express ourselves as women, to be a little bit naughty in a safe, non-judgmental environment. And I found it to be tremendously empowering.
Yes.
You walked out of there feeling like an absolute goddess,
Awesome.
which was very powerful for me. And the fact that we could create that feeling amongst ourselves rather than relying on a partner, a husband, a boyfriend to pay us a compliment and make us feel that way. It was for me very empowering that we could source that feeling within ourselves rather than being dependent on somebody else. And from there my journey just grew and grew. I became involved in the aerial arts.
Okay.
I stopped practicing my psychology. I closed down my book import business and I just became totally immersed in working with women and exploring our female energy.
Yes.
And empowering women to be the best versions of themselves.
How beautiful.
I eventually ended up studying burlesque in London.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know burlesque, it's not really that much like the burlesque movie that you saw, but it is a lot about being female. It's a stage art, so it's very dramatic. And there's a lot of striptease involved in it, such as biting off your gloves or peeling off your stocking in a very elaborate way.
Wow.
So it's a lot about the tease and the thrill and capturing the imagination of your audience
Very
without
sensual.
Absolutely, without ever actually taking off all your clothes.
Yes.
So it's very tongue-in-cheek, it's very playful, and again it taps into that goddess energy of feeling beautiful and feeling powerful and enticing your partner
Yes.
or your audience without actually showing them too much.
Yes.
Which I think is something that as women we've maybe lost that art of seduction, that art of enticing a partner. So I've even trained strippers to do it.
Okay.
Because even they, you know, they know how to take their clothes off, but they don't know how to do it beautifully. They don't know how to entice the audience. For them, it's more like just take it all off and get your money. So the burlesque is very different from that point of view.
Exactly.
And then I stumbled across the aerial arts.
Okay.
This pole obviously has an aerial element, and I had to conquer my fear of heights for that.
Wow.
And then while I was in London, I also joined a place called the Circus Space.
Yes, that sounds interesting.
And I learned how to do trapeze,
Lovely.
which was so frightening and so scary.
It always looks so amazing to
It was
just
such
observe.
a thrill, but
Yes.
it was really difficult to take that first step off the ledge. And then I came back to South Africa and I learned a little bit about aerial silks, and I became very immersed in the circus arts, and I incorporated it into my studio, because at that point I had opened up my own studio.
Lovely.
Where I was teaching women pole and belly dance. And then I discovered this amazing thing called aerial yoga, or the brand that I teach under is Zero Gravity Yoga. And you're combining your traditional yoga poses with your aerial silks.
Okay.
And you're doing this amazing transformative yoga regimen, just a little bit off the ground. And it has,
almost like acrobatics.
and it has the most amazing restorative benefits, because it
Yes.
decompresses your spine, it takes the weight off your joints, it helps you with your flexibility, because instead of stretching on a chair, for example, you're in a beautiful, comfortable piece of fabric.
Okay.
And it also just helps you to be comfortable going upside down, because your body is supported.
Yes.
So that has been my journey up until, I'd say, 2016. And then after that I started realizing I needed to travel again.
Okay.
So I started offering retreats for women, like restorative, empowering retreats for women, where we go to the beach and we do aerial yoga on the beach in a portable rig, or aerial silks in the ocean, put our bamboo tripods in the ocean, where you're flipping upside down, you're dipping your hair in the water.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sort of combining
like mermaids.
Surfing with mermaid, with aerial.
Yes.
I started incorporating
How
the mermaid
divine.
tails and doing photo shoots for women.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you see yourself through a lens, you actually get to see how beautiful you are.
Yes.
Whereas when we stand in front of a mirror, we're so critical of ourselves. And I think we all need to learn to embrace our beauty without putting all of this pressure on ourselves to do the Botox thing or lose 15 kilos. And a lot of what I learned comes from the pole dancing classes, where we discovered that we fell in love with what our bodies could do, rather than does my bum look big in these shorts.
And
So
I think it also
completely
develops
shifted
that inner strength, you know, that confidence. Yeah.
and your outer strength. So it's
Yes.
amazing for fitness, but it's amazing for your internal spaces as well.
Yes.
Your heart space, your mind space.
So
obviously
incredible.
COVID has thrown a big spanner in the works when it comes to my retreats. But we're starting to open up little weekend retreats again, since we haven't been able to do our beach retreats for a while. So I have a retreat space in Magaliesburg that I use, and I want to take a group of ladies to Sweat Lodge soon, so they can experience that as well.
So are those the projects you're currently working on?
So those are the projects I'm trying to get back into with the whole COVID story. I have been coaching my wellness coaching program, my exercise classes in the studio on a small level, because obviously we've been restricted. And recently I've added life coaching to my skill set. Yes, I decided I didn't want to go back into psychology and addiction and that kind of thing, because it is very heavy work. And I wanted to focus more on empowering women especially. I also do work with men, but my following, because of what I offer, is mostly women. So that is my next step forward, is to incorporate my psychology and my retreats and all of my experience into life coaching for women, personal empowerment for women.
It's incredible. It's almost like you have this kaleidoscope of all these beautiful gifts that you offer. So
Yes.
I wanted to thank you for, first of all, having this courage and this brave heart to take on this journey. And second of all, to be this absolute embodiment of a goddess, or what a goddess should look like or be for the people around her.
Thank you. Wow.
And of course for the beautiful healing work that you are doing, because yes, it is the outside beauty and the confidence and everything we work on, but the inner work for me is, I think, the most precious, because it just rekindles that self-love and self-compassion is so needed in the world today.
Absolutely.
Especially after, I think, everything that we've gone through in the last couple of months. And there's a great need actually for womb healing. You know, women have gone through a lot of trauma. So I think to bring in this joyfulness and this playfulness is just such a delight.
And we forget how to play.
And we
become
forget
so
how to
serious.
play. Exactly.
You know, and
so
especially in my yoga industry, people can be so serious.
yes.
And what I love about the aerial yoga is you're bringing that playfulness back
Exactly.
as well. And then in my spare time, I like to be a mermaid.
Of course. Why not?
So I'm actually working on a project with a South African company.
Yes.
I'll reveal all the details in the next week or two.
Awesome.
Where they are developing silicone tails for
beautiful.
South African women, because it's a very expensive thing to import.
Okay.
So we're working on a beautiful silicone tail, and I'm going to carry on doing my thing, going to all the beaches, swimming in as many oceans as I can,
Lovely.
letting other women experience how it feels to be a mermaid, because it's a very beautiful feeling to glide through the water. It feels a little bit
Sounds
like flying.
incredible.
You feel like a goddess. There's no such thing as a bad figure for a mermaid tail. You look absolutely goddess-like and beautiful when you wear it. And it's just this amazing fantasy playfulness that we need to incorporate back into our lives.
So thank you for bringing back the magic into the world. So I feel like you are the ambassador of magic.
Of magic.
So with this, I would like to bless you that all of your efforts will bear fruit, and that going forward, that women will just be drawn to this magic that you bring into this space.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much.
And thank you for my apple.
Pleasure. So guys, thank you so much for joining us again today, and of course listening to this beautiful magical story. I will be sharing more of Candice's information for all the upcoming things and workshops that she just told us about. So that always is shared in the comments below. As always, we invite you to like and share and subscribe to our videos, and we look forward to seeing you guys again next week, same time, same place. Until then, take care and goodbye. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Namaste.